Hello, and welcome back to the MMA Split podcast. I'm Matt.
I'm Josh.
And we are back to talk about everything that's happened in the world of UFC and MMA in the last week or so. A busy weekend. We had Bellator and UFC in action. Bellator we're going to push slightly towards the end. There is definitely a couple of noteworthy points of topic of conversation to touch on there. But we must start with UFC Vegas 37, Anthony Smith versus Ryan Spann. And Josh, I'm going to go first because in the light of Anthony Smith, I'm giving no respect today. I'm giving no fucking respect any which way today. Neither is Anthony Smith, man. He whips him. I mean, absolutely just establishes there was no reason for this fight to be going on between the two of them. Different levels apart where they are right now in MMA. But he wanted more. He wasn't happy with just the knockdown and the submission. He was saying some shit to Ryan Spann. Did you enjoy this as much as I did?
Well, I did. I mean, I remember when Lionheart first came into the UFC, and I remember like maybe 2 or 3 fights into his career. I can't remember who he said it against, but they had said in the build-up to the fight that they didn't know who Anthony Smith was, and just him screaming like, "Do you know who I am now? Do you know who I am now?" Like,
that was the Hector Lombard fight, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Yeah, it was the Hector Lombard fight.
What's my name? What's my name, Hector?
Yeah. So I've always loved this side of Anthony Smith. And man, yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I'm so happy to see him like bare his teeth a little bit, because this is a guy who by rights should have held the belt for at least one night, you know? He let John Jones off the hook after a cheap shot. And frankly, you know, I'm very defensive over Aljamain Sterling, who very much trod the other path there. Anthony Smith should have been a champion. Anthony Smith should have dethroned John Jones. That's not really a tongue twister. I'm just that fucking tired. Sorry. But you know what I mean? Yeah, Lionheart lost a couple of fights back to back. And since then, he's been perfect. And this is what he needs to say. This is what I want to hear. He should be fucking fighting up ahead. You know, he should be maybe looking at a title eliminator next.
I could not agree with you more. If this was a different fighter behaving this way, I might feel differently about it. But because he's such a nice guy, we know what a nice guy he is. We know that he's the gentleman and the respectful guy. I feel like this is needed a bit more from him. You know, like you say, he's been perfect for the last 3 fights. He's beating who they're putting in front of him. All of these guys are the worst kind of fight for a top 10 fighter, really. It's that young up-and-comer who's hungry and might just have the tools to beat you and can take your ranking away and push you all the way down by losing a fight like that. And he's just beaten 3 of these guys back-to-back pretty easily. I mean, the Jimmy Crute one for me still stands out as the most impressive, although under awkward circumstances. He was piecing him up in that first round before the leg gave way. And I think Jimmy Crute is top 10 level right now. I think that guy could maul a lot of people. So
I think he's as good as Alexander Rakic. I'd say that.
I think an argument could be made there. And for a guy like Anthony Smith, that's the side of him that there needs to be more of. And he's got every single right to say that. I don't know if you saw his post-fight press conference, but he kind of elaborated on it a little bit. He said, I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but if I've earned nothing else, I've earned the respect of my peers. If nothing else, that is all I ask for. I don't expect it to be, you know, automatically this or automatically that. I just want my respect. And I'll let you touch on this as well. I find it really interesting that is the thing that really grinds his gears. Like, you look at the Hector Lombard situation, you look at this, what's the commonality? It's disrespect. It's not respecting who he is and what he's done. That means more to him than anything else from what I'm seeing. I find it really interesting to see that, like, how that is the thing that sort of ignites his fire and brings this other side out of him.
Well, it's very obvious who he is as a human being. If the nickname Lionheart alone wasn't enough to give it away, this is a guy who put his own pride and dignity ahead of a championship. You know, he had that world title. They asked him, can you continue? And he said yes, because he did not want to win the belt on a disqualification. Even though it was a fight he was losing, And it was a fight where he'd just been massively compromised by an illegal shot, and by rights should have refused to continue.
And Jones, in his situation, would have taken that belt all day long. Roles are reversed.
Oh,
100%. 100%.
Jones, the guy that broke the pregnant lady's arm in the car crash, fled the scene, returned to retrieve his weed, and then refled. Yeah, for sure, Jones has taken that DQ. You kidding me?
Yeah. Well, the lion roared on Saturday, man. I mean, let's just look at this from a technical perspective. I expected Smith to be faster, be able to control distance with the jab. He hurt him with almost every single significant strike he landed. I mean, there was
he understood as well. You couldn't just stand there and trade. It was in then out. It was in and out, and also in and combo, and then out, and just mixing things up perfectly. Just
He beat him in the clinch, striking on the feet and on the ground. He's just the better fighter. He's just the better fighter, and I like Ryan Spann. I think he's a little too slow. I think that's a big issue for him. I don't know if that's he's carrying too much weight, trying to be a bit too powerful, but I felt that with the Sam Alvey fight. I think we even said that in the pick show, that we just felt he hasn't got the kind of quickness that you need to take on a guy like Anthony Smith.
Well, yes, and I think you have a point there, but even more so, Smith had kind of bulked up for this fight. So it wasn't like Smith had gone for the sensible, like, be lighter on my feet, have the obvious speed advantage. Smith had already kind of sacrificed that to some extent. And as you say, we continue to see that Spann was, the slower man to the punch, just couldn't really get there first. And I don't think it's an athleticism issue with Spann. I think it's just a lack of sophistication in his striking game. I mean, the fact that, he really had Johnny Walker on the ropes and then ends up getting knocked out is something that can happen to anyone, but it happens more often when you don't really know what you're doing. You don't really know how to manage the striking game. And again, if you go up against savvy vets that really aren't that much faster than you and you look like the slower fighter, it's just it's kind of telling if you're kind of tactical and really just a deficit in experience. You just have all these deficiencies. Spann can be exciting, and he is too good an athlete to continue churning it out on the regional scene. So he's got to kind of find a way to win fights at the top level. But frankly, it was unfair for him. Like Anthony Smith, we both called it just a mismatch.
I kind of hope this puts an end to, there seems to be a bit of a trend where guys that are sort of ranked in that kind of like 12 to 15 and guys that are not ranked are all seeming, and this is where I think the real feeling of disrespect comes from with Anthony. I think they're all looking at Anthony Smith as the winnable fight in the top 5, top 10. And I kind of hope that he's starting to really put that aside. This is not a guy that is easy to beat. This is a guy, we say that a lot, this is a guy, but he's fucking tough as shit. He doesn't maybe have that standout, power or athleticism or speciality in one aspect that makes people fear him, but he surprises people constantly. And he's pretty easily beaten 3 guys that are below his level. I also think he always has it in him to raise his performance and pull a win out against a guy that's maybe, stronger, faster, technically better. And I love the Rakic call out. I think that is spot on. He was terrible in that fight. He never should have been in that fight. You could tell that wasn't the Anthony Smith that we'd seen in the first round against Robert Teixeira.
Wasn't a good fight. More importantly, though, give a fuck what Rakic thinks about it. The fact is, Prohaska can just sit on his laurels and take the next title shot, be it Teixeira or Big Yan. Santos has already got a fight coming up against Walker. And to be honest, I think by the time the champ's turning around, if Smith can get that rematch in with Rakic, the winner of that fight makes a much stronger argument for the following title shot than the winner of the Santos-Walker fight. Well, let's be honest, Walker would have to win a couple more. But if Santos beats Walker, it's still not going to put him in as prominent a position.
No,
and frankly, outside of that, you're going down to like 7th, 8th ranked, and you know Smith's right in there now. If he can get that Rakic rematch for both men, I think that's just going to ensure the following title shot after Prohaska.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, even the thing about the Santos Walker fight is, assuming, as I'm going to, that Santos wins that, even if Walker wins it, you can match them up with whoever loses the Glover Yan fight.
Yeah.
So there's good symmetry. Anthony Smith is still in a great position. I would actually favor him in the Rakic fight. I think, I know it's hard, but
yeah.
I think one thing I'd say from Rakic, as soon as he's been sort of in that upper echelon, apart from the Jimmy Manuwa fight, is he's a little safe. Santos, clearly not the Santos of old in that performance. He was very, very safe. Even with the Anthony Smith fight, like I think Anthony Smith's viewpoint is probably like, I was at 60% best and still the only thing that you could do is hold me down against the cage for 15 minutes.
Yeah, and since the Smith fight, he's beat Santos, he's beat Murata, but that's one fight, and Smith's on a 3-fight win streak right now.
He says he corrected key things as well after the Rakic loss. He said that was the one that made him have a hard look in the mirror and change aspects of his preparation and his life and his training.
Never mind the improvements. That wasn't his best version of his self at the time. Rakic, he can plod a little. I would really like Smith in that rematch, to be honest.
I think it's a good rematch. I think it's one that makes sense. I was surprised that Rakic seemed as receptive to it, considering that for him, it's a guy he beat 2 fights ago.
But he's already commented on this.
Oh, man, he tweeted during Anthony Smith's speech. He said, I'm free in December.
That's perfect. Yeah, that's just perfect. What else to say? Even the UFC can't fuck this one up, right?
As Anthony Smith said, he said, sounds like a good Christmas to me. Touching on Spann very quickly before we move down the card, because there's a lot of fights to talk about on this one. Just a step too far? Just not ready for the number 6 ranked light heavyweight in the world?
Obviously, yeah.
Nothing more said?
No, like I said, I think the athleticism isn't the issue. I think that he just continues to build his experience, continue to improve technically. I don't think he's going to get the knowledge he needs fighting at a lower level. So he needs to find a way to stick around. And if he's going to keep winning fights in the UFC, I think he needs to be a little less aspirational and a little more realistic. Just look at beating guys with obvious holes in their games. Take fights that are good matchups. They can still be good names, but don't try and like crash the rankings right now, because you for a guy called Superman, you're looking pretty fucking human. It's just
still got your Clark.
It's not the right time. Yeah, life's all about timing, So just be a little bit more humble about your next matchup, and fight down a little bit. Just keep learning. It's not about putting the wins together or putting a body of work together for him. I think it's just about doing some learning, and not because he's a shit fighter, but just because if you want to be elite, this is what it takes.
I couldn't agree more. Talking about guys that should follow that exact advice that you've just given right now, I won Kutalaba against Devin Clark. I felt really sorry for Devin Clark here. I always feel a bit bad for fighters when their dad's in the corner and they get quite badly beaten up, which is unfortunately what happened to Devin Clark. He just got manhandled by the Hulk.
You've seen the picture of the injury, right?
Yeah, it's nasty, man. Yeah. Makes me want to go to the dentist.
It's it's not good. It's not good. It looks like someone's tried to like surgically create the thing from Alien. Like he's gonna get that second like jaw flying out with the extra set of teeth. It is terrifying. It's the stuff nightmares are made of. And fucking fair play to him for finishing that fight. When I heard the conversation in the corner between him and his dad, I thought they were just talking about quitting. I had nothing. I missed the bit where they were talking about the injury to his lower jaw. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
and even
Kutalaba hits,
Kutalaba. Yeah.
he hits hard, man. He hits hard. The only thing is, I think they were hoping that maybe he was going to gas and they could get something together in the third round. I'll give this. Kutalaba, he managed his energy a lot more efficiently this time around.
Yeah.
This is a pretty
Well, also a
good
lot fitter
performance.
this time.
Yeah. Let's get to his post-fight speech, though. There's so much wrong with this. For starters, they pull the translator over, and he deliberately says, "No, no need translator." And then
Well, no, this thing had already been like, get the translator in. And Kutalaba was like, no, I rise to this challenge. Bisping shouldn't have thrown the gauntlet. That's what I think.
Yeah, he that was some broken English he spoke there. I mean, that is, I love the confidence, but his English is not, it's not there yet. It's not there yet. The other thing that isn't there is his desire to fight Anthony Smith. Maybe this is what pissed him off. Maybe he saw fucking Kutalaba calling him out, was just like, oh, this has got to stop right now. Right, who's in front of me? You're paying for that. He's won one fight, and he was on what, like a 2-fight skid, 3-fight skid, and then the draw. You know,
Kutalaba.
Yeah, he wasn't on a good run, man. Yeah, the 2 Ankalaev losses.
I think he won his previous fight. Oh no, Jacoby was the previous one. Who did he have before Jacoby?
It was the 2 Ankalaev fights.
Oh shit, yeah. All right, well, okay, the first Ankalaev fight, in my opinion, he kind of just cracked under the pressure a little bit, acted like a goddamn dickhead, and made it very easy for the referee to fuck up his job. The second fight, shouldn't have been getting in there with him. That was pretty much obvious. That was just a question of pride. But if you scratch out Ankalaev, you know, he beat Khalil Roundtree, drew a Justin Jacoby, and just beat Devin Clark. And then the losses were Glover Teixeira, Jared Cannonier, and Misha Serkinov. Pinned wins against Jonathan Wilson, Enrique da Silva, and Antigulov. So the guy has looked like he's just about, you know, on the cusp of that top 15. If he could just find a way to be a little better. And anytime a guy that heavy-handed and ferocious understands the benefits of wrestling and patience and wrestling, because fucking wrestling's pretty fucking important. I'm starting to believe that if he could just really commit to that treadmill, this boy could be a little bit of a threat in this division. Okay. I don't know. I'm a little bit excited watching this evolution of Kutalaba, because that, and I apologize for Iris right now. He's a big Kutalaba fan.
Clearly.
Yeah, not a fan of me, just Kutalaba.
What's a good fight for I1 next?
Jesus. Who's Paul Craig booked against? I've forgotten now.
Gustafsson.
Oh shit. Okay. So not if Gustafsson wins, but if Paul Craig wins that fight, I think stylistically that's a very good matchup for Kutalaba. And about the right level. If Gustafsson wins that fight, Kutalaba shouldn't take that fight and would never get that lucky. Who is a good fight for Kutalaba? You got any thoughts on this?
To be honest, I just think he needs to keep fighting guys around that kind of unranked on the cusp kind of thing. I'd be looking at like an Alonzo Menefield. For sure. I'd be looking at who else would be a good one? He's just fought Dustin Jacoby. Alonzo Menefield's the one that comes to mind. Oven St. Preux, if he's still got the wherewithal to try and get down to light heavyweight.
I think OSP's got a little too much technically and tactically for our boy right now. He's basically a poor man's OSP right now, you know. The skill set's a little different, but in terms of the lackluster disappointment, very much cut from the same mold.
Yeah, but you're thinking about a more motivated. You're thinking about a motivated OSP. I'm thinking he could be an OSP that checks out if he's not winning round one.
Well, I still think we're looking at a 50% motivated Kutalaba. You know, yeah. Again, just cut from the same mold. I think ISP would be a bad matchup for him. Shit though, if that one did happen, we'd have some fun on the picks.
That's true.
How did you do this week, by the way? Because I think we picked fairly similar, right? We did not pick very similar at all then.
I smashed it, mate. I smashed it. I absolutely smashed it in my mind. Let's find out if reality supports this. Very quickly, Devin Clark. I don't know what to say about this guy. There's lots to like, but I don't think he's good enough. I don't know if he's going to get good enough. I don't know if he's big enough. I don't know if he's diverse enough. If he can't take a guy down, he's in real trouble.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to just pretend it's all Kutalaba's improvements, but Devin Clark leaned into the loss on this one. Just unfortunately, Kutalaba does still hit hard, even if he is going to start pacing himself and wrestling a little more. His teeth were fucked up, and I don't know at what point in the second round that happened, if I'm honest. But he struggled with that for at least 5 minutes. I don't want to make any excuses for him. At no point in this fight did I think he had much of a shot at winning it. But
no.
Never count a man out. Let's see what he can do next. If he's going to take some time out to get his fucking lower jaw fixed, though. That was grisly.
Yeah. Okay, let's move down because we've got some impressive performances to touch on here. Ariana Lipsky, I'm going to formally apologize to the Queen of Violence for saying she didn't deserve her spot. She put on a real show here. I think she got a knockdown in every single round, showed massive improvements in the grappling. I don't think Mandy Bomb is the best opponent, but hey, listen, you can only beat what's in front of you, and she looked impressive. And if she can pull in performances like that and apply that level of grappling improvement to fighters with more grappling experience, she could be something.
Yeah, I mean, shit, strike differential of 51. It was just a beatdown. Mandy is not the bomb. Did you pick bomb as well?
No, I picked Lipsky.
Oh, good for you. I didn't. Yeah, well, I have more to apologize for, I guess. Sorry, Ariana.
I think I picked Lipsky. I'm second guessing myself now. This is awkward.
You very well may have done. I don't think bomb was necessarily the shit hot prospect.
No, I feel like I would have gone for Lipsky. I'm pretty sure I would have gone for Lipsky.
Also, bomb not training with SBG, so just lots of things I got wrong on that fight.
Well, fuck it. We definitely got our next pick right because Arman Tsarukyan went through Giagos.
Yeah.
I mean, this wasn't really a fight. Like, Giagos came up, 20 seconds later, he collected his paycheck and had a pretty sore head.
Yeah, man, this one was rough. Giagos isn't a bad fighter at all. And when we talked about his chances in this fight, it was very much the fact that this guy just sort of finds a way to win. And when you're going up against much higher level opposition and they make zero mistakes and do everything perfectly, well, frankly, you have no chance. So
I didn't expect him getting knocked out in the first round, though. That
Bro,
could be my surprise.
I picked Kutalaba for the knockout. I picked Tsarukyan for the decision. They went all flip verse on me. No one saw that coming. No one saw that coming. Arman Tsarukyan's mum didn't see that one coming. Just that's where the level was at. All right. No one saw that coming.
He's the shit, man. There's no other way to say it. The guy is the fucking shit. It's going to be guys like him and Makhachev up there being the title contenders in shorter time than I think people realize.
Yeah, well, I mean, frankly, if he doesn't get the fight against Dan Hooker, I don't think the Makhachev rematch is a bad shout at all.
It's not a bad shout.
And frankly, stylistically, both of these boys are not good matchups for a lot of the top five.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that relatively, all right? if you try to figure out the top five's weaknesses, these boys match up favorably, but that's not how it works. And this is, kind of the Champions League kind of division of MMA. And they have a lot of insane talent in the top five right there. So
yeah,
which, oh my God, it's going to be a good year for the lightweight division. We have some amazing fights coming this year.
yeah, we got some good cards coming back. I've got to say, it's been a bit of a dearth. I realized when I was watching the countdown today, it's been fucking like a month and a half longer since the last pay-per-view.
Has it really?
Start of August, and now we're getting 266 on the end of September.
Jesus.
It's felt like
that's right. And we still got 2 scheduled in December.
I don't know if we've got 2 scheduled in December, but I know 267 and 268 are literally like a week apart.
Yeah, they do like cramming like 13 or 14 in the year. So it's usually June and December are kind of like the busy years. God bless you, fight week. But yeah, the lightweight division is very, very fucking fun right now. Sarukian, I'm really glad he finally got that UFC finish. I guess I genuinely didn't believe that this Giagos fight was a real booking. I honestly, in my own mind, thought that it was a short notice replacement. Like I never understood this booking, particularly when he was angling for the Dan Hooker fight.
Yeah.
While he already had this fight signed. I'm glad that this boy's found a way to position himself, that he can really kind of move on up here. And, if Hooker gets past Nakparas, which is going to be no lean feat, considering the guy's going to be flying the same night that he's supposed to be cutting weight. He did get the visa, though. That's exciting. He's got a rough old fight week ahead of him.
Dan Hooker.
I have no doubt that Dan Hooker is still going to deliver the goods, because Dan, the Hangman Hooker, is the fucking nuts. But still, this boy's got an uphill struggle. He never has it easy. Never has it easy.
Or his coach is flying out this time.
Oof. I would believe that if he could get the visa, they would too. I have no idea on this occasion.
Well, Izzy's not going to fight.
No one else has got a fight booked. I mean, they've earmarked
January
Whitaker for so plenty of time.
That's true. And rumors are that it's going to be in New Zealand, so they wouldn't have to travel.
That makes things a lot easier for both parties.
Yeah. We're talking about a very stacked lightweight division. Let's talk about the other stacked division in the UFC, bantamweight. Let's talk about 2 guys. Okay, we got this one wrong. I don't really mind that we got this one wrong. This was a fucking great fight. The only difference between these 2 knockouts in many ways is time of round. That is the only difference. Gravely is a winner if his knockout comes a minute into the round, but it came in the last 3 seconds.
Well, Gravely's a winner if he gets that with an extra 2 seconds on the clock, an extra 3 seconds on the clock. It was right fucking there. It was right fucking there. The last shot was a late shot, but if that last shot had come in regulation, 1 shot more, I think done. And then Manus, well, you wake a man up sometimes, you have to bear the consequences of that action. What a beast. What a fucking comeback. This was a good fight.
He's the comeback kid, man. This is what he does. He gets his ass kicked, and then he fucking comes back and knocks the guy out.
Yeah, man. To basically be unconscious at the end of the first round, and then to come back in and knock your man out in the second round is nothing short of godlike. That was just...
Yeah. He had the same facial expression between rounds as Donald Cerrone did after he got knocked out in the end of the first round against Masvidal.
Yeah.
Where he's just like, his coaches are telling him he's there, but he's not fucking there.
Nah. On my feed, we were perfectly in sync there. And then I remember this is Zoom. So you said Masvidal, and as you're rounding the Dow, I'm like, Maz. Yeah. But just so you know, when you said it through my phone, perfect harmony.
I will believe you on that. Yeah, that was pretty special. I don't think Gravely could quite believe it. I think he might have been a little bit more reckless in the second round as a result, thinking I just have to get in on this guy hard. It's almost done.
Well, it wasn't almost done until he landed, and he wasn't going to land out any earlier than that. Just how the fight was going, he very much took his opportunity, and then the clock ran out. Saved by the bell.
I mean, in
It
the
is what
second
it
round.
is.
I mean, I think Gravely gets himself knocked out because he's got it in his mind that he's almost finished this guy.
Well,
He's more
yeah. Well, I mean,
reckless, just wants to
sorry.
land that shot to get it done, and leaves himself overexposed or isn't as considerate of what's coming back at him.
I don't think it's the wrong strategy. It's, you had the guy rocked. It's Strony Masvidal. He comes out in the second round and just takes care of business. Unfortunately, Maynes had, recovered his bearings. He had regathered, regrouped. He was good to go. I didn't see that coming. I don't think Gravely saw that coming. And it was a good, fun second round. This was just a great fight, to be honest.
It really was. Fight of the night for you? Or did you go Pennington?
Yeah.
Did you go Pennington Kanzad?
No, I would say this one. I would say Maynes Gravely. Well, I mean, we're gonna get to Pennington Kanzad, and I'll give my thoughts then. But for me, this one was an all out, whereas the other one, it wasn't like a just enough, but it was it was a little more tactical. There was a little more restraint shown. This was just an all action fight.
And rounding out the main card, Buckley is back. Was definitely struggling. Pretty much everything that we said. He was struggling with the height and reach, but then he got the knockout. A lot of shots landed to the back of people's head in this card. I'm not saying it was intentional. A lot of them were turning away. I just couldn't help but notice that a lot of people got knocked out with strikes to the back of the head. But it counted. Buckley got the win. I really like Buckley, man. For a guy that has this reputation, according to James Krause, of wanting to spar aggressively and refuses to touch gloves before the fight, I think he's just one of those people where for him, he needs to be in that war mentality to do this. He can't be friends. He can't be touching gloves. He can't be doing any of that until after the fight. But after the fight, he's really respectful.
Yeah, and fair enough, because this is a guy working with something of a diminished skill set, Yeah, the right hook was to the back of the head. But to be fair to Buckley, he did say legally as well that he had been hit in the eye or accidentally, or either way, he wasn't putting any blame on Arroyo. He was saying, I just couldn't see very well. I was seeing two of them, and I was just swinging. And yeah, he caught him in the back of the head, and then he caught him under the chin, and that was it. Yeah, shit. I mean, even if the guy could see perfectly out of both eyes, and you knew that in the moment, you're still going to be forgiving of it, because it's just one of those things. It wasn't a dirty shot. Real unfortunate for Antonio Arroyo, because he is a good fighter, and I'm really hoping that we're going to be talking about him a lot more in the future. But
Buckley was pleading his case.
On.
Buckley was saying, "Don't try and see." I like that. He's aware of what the situation is. I love that moment of respect between the two of them. It's kind of funny. He had this main card that was kind of bookended by sort of two very different responses to victory and to knock it and to a finish from the two guys. But Buckley marches on. I hope they keep Arroyo because there's talent there. He needs to throw more though. He's a little too passive.
In this fight,
big shots.
Yeah.
And against a guy that he had reach on who wasn't necessarily looking to take him down. I think that was really his undoing a little bit. So if he'd set things up better or used his range a little better, I think he could have won the fight. Yeah,
I've seen him fight better than that. I know he can fight better than that. He'll bounce back. I have confidence.
Absolutely. Under the prelims, we'll go through these a little bit more quickly, but I do want to talk about the Pennington Kanzad fight in a little bit more of main card detail.
I think that's fair.
This wasn't a technical fight, but I really enjoyed it. This was like a bar fight. This was just two people fucking clinching up and just beating each
You
other
picked
up.
Nchukwi, didn't you?
No, I picked Slow Mike. I got that one wrong.
Okay, well then I would have thought that you didn't enjoy this fight as much as I did. It was, in terms of breaking down a fight, very happy for Nchukwi. He did great. But my boy Slow Mike, I really thought he was going to find a way to just put it all together and get it done here. And
I was going to touch on that fight later after the Kanzad Pennington fight.
wasn't the Pennington Kanzad fight after?
It was before. It was before in the run-up, but because I want to go into it in more detail, I thought I'd group it with the main card fights and then go with group Tafon and Nchukwi versus. We can do Slow Mike though. We can do Slow Mike. I haven't got a lot to say.
I'd say we're pretty much halfway through that fight now.
Yeah.
In terms of breaking it down. So closing thoughts on Nchukwi against Rodriguez.
Nchukwi's really good. He's better than I thought he was. He hits hard. He doesn't get tired. He wrestles well. I don't think Slow Mike had a great night though.
Nah. Also, was it a bad night or is it just a limited fighter? Because, I've been able to make excuses for him against much slower fighters. And, now that I see him in a fight where, frankly, I didn't think he'd have any kind of speed disadvantage or technique disadvantage or timing disadvantage, just looking very fucking pedestrian.
I know what you mean. I think that's 3 losses in a row. I think some of it's confidence. I think you look at the way that he's lost the previous 2 fights in this one. I think it's, you kind of lose that rhythm and that flow and that sort of timing that you get sometimes when you're just feeling it. And I think that's certainly a factor. And obviously some of it's real bad luck, but that's 3 losses on the skid. I think maybe the UFC make an allowance for the Sherman one because it was total BS. And maybe don't view that as a 3-fight skid, but he's fighting for his job in his next fight. I don't think there's much question about that. And from his perspective, he should have viewed the Nchukwi fight as fighting for his job. And I didn't really see that guy that was sort of having that urgency or that willingness to kind of engage. And, when your own coaches are saying, don't kick, you're too slow. The kicks are too slow. That's a big worry. You can't be having, that kind of a problem when you're at this level.
Yeah.
It's not going to work for you.
It just wasn't a good look.
No. Now can we talk about Pennington Kanzad? I like this fight. It was very untechnical. Neither of them did anything close to what was very clearly their game plan. They both just seemed to make this kind of agreement that they're just going to push each other against the clinch and land punches up close. I really enjoyed it. I think it was touch and go. I don't think it was a good tactic from Pennington, but she kind of made it work for her in the long run.
Well, no, it was Penny's mistake here. They set up, they start out, and it's who's a little bit stronger, who's a little bit meaner, and unfortunately, the answer to that is Rocky is, and also, if you're not going to open the fight up, she doesn't need to make mistakes. So it was very professional in the sense that she just did enough. But it was quite, I don't know, satisfying to watch a fighter just be so in control of the score that I really had no doubt once it went the full 15 that Rocky had taken that one 29-28. It seemed like a competitive but very clear fight to me. I think she knew that's how the judges were going to view it. And it's just a fight that was like not willing to risk losing a fight that she was clearly winning. And it was still a competitive fight. I thought Pani did a lot of stuff great.
She's really good. It's just space was going to be her friend in this. We even touched on this in the picture. She needed movement. She needed distance. She needed to keep it technical. Rocky needed to make this a fight. What I would say, though, just to interject, is I think Kanzad kind of got sucked into her own initial success, because I personally thought that Pennington lost that kind of clinch exchange in the first round and then started making it work. And I think for Kanzad, there was a willingness to stay in there and not disengage in those last 2 rounds because she'd had the success in the first round. It almost cursed her a little bit. Like if Pennington had clinched her up in round 1 and clearly won that round, I think Kanzad would have come away with it thinking, okay, no clinch, no cage, punch, strike and move. But because it worked out for her, even going into the 3rd round, I think she kind of thought, no, we've been through this. I can make the most of it. I can win this kind of tussle of exchange. And in the end, she got worn down.
Well, yeah, she won the first round in the wrong way. And unfortunately, I think after that, it wasn't so much, really fucking up the game plan so much as it was Rocky kind of making a point of kind of reiterating that she was going to be the stronger fighter against the fence. She was going to be the stronger fighter in the clinch. And even though Kianzad won the first round in the wrong way, it's that veteran quality. Also, having Tisha right there with you through everything, it's kind of double the experience. But for sure, like, however Kianzad had won the first round, Rocky known that she's got that in her pocket, and I don't know why she wasn't able to perform in the first 5-minute frame. But from there on out, I was just like, yeah, Rocky's back. This is a legit threat in this division. So
absolutely, Kianzad doesn't lose any ground for me. She's still right there. It's a tough fight. They're both really good. They're both up there. She'll bounce back.
That first round impressed me. I did, like you said, this is a good fight. This is a good fight. Don't look at the stats. Don't listen to us in the breakdown and think that this isn't a good fight. This is a good fucking fight. And frankly, Kianzad, how old is she? I think she's got time on her side,
She's not old. She is 29.
Yeah, man. And she's right
young
there.
29.
So,
she's a young 29 as well.
Yeah, I think Kianzad's gonna see some main events and maybe a title shot in the future. This is a guy that comes to fight. I thought this was a really good fight, really tough, really great performance. Did not play to her strengths in the first round, but won it. And honestly, I think from there on out, irrespective of what happened in the first round, Rocky was going to take it. But certainly, if we'd seen her opening up with the strikes more, it might have created more questions. I don't know. For me, fuck it. I got the pick wrong. Enjoyed the fight, and couldn't be happier for Rocky.
Couldn't agree more. Let's touch on some of these other guys. We'll run through a bit more quickly. So we'll say one sentence on each fight. One sentence from you: Zhurong versus Jenkins.
One sentence: short notice replacement.
I will add: age ain't nothing but a number. But in the Elias sense, not in the old sense. The guy's 21 and looks like a fucking world beater. Youngest fighter in the
so in the R. Kelly sense is what you're saying.
In the R. Kelly sense, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, Zhurong's a beast. Brandon Jenkins, I this was not the guy that you wanted to fight on fucking a week's notice, man. Not a chance, no.
He had a couple of moments. I don't think he's a shit fighter.
No, I loved a lot about what I saw. I just think that this was not the right fight on a week's notice. He had a good sense of humor about it. He smiled every time he got hit. Even as he was getting finished, he was smiling. So fair play to the guy. One sentence on Montel Jackson against Jp Baze.
She's following you home, bitch. I don't know. Honestly, I thought there was a lot to love from Jp Baze in the first round. Just, I don't think necessarily that he should be cut or that he shouldn't be a bantamweight, but Montel Jackson looked pretty good. And it's, this fight is, it's smoke and mirrors. That's my one sentence: smoke and mirrors. Because Montel Jackson, what have we really learned? Well, I feel like we've learned something, but I feel ultimately that as people dissect it, they're going to be like, He's fighting a flyweight that couldn't win his debut, that's moved up to bantamweight. No one will give him credit. And Jp Baze, people just write off as another loss. But frankly, I think both guys have some interesting attributes. It was an all right fight. That's way more than one sentence.
It is. I'll just add with that. I'm sorry, but Jackson, he is for real.
I think
Montel
so.
Jackson's a really good fighter. I think that he's the worst possible fight for a guy trying to find his footing in the UFC, moving up weight classes. You're dealing with one of the tallest guys, one of the strongest guys, one of the quickest guys. And really, this was a speed issue. Everything was happening too quick and with too much distance for him to cover for him to have a chance. Jackson's awesome. I'm a huge Jackson fan. I was before this fight. I am after this fight. Jp Baze, I think, can win fights. I just don't know if he's got the chin or the skill set to be a certain level of fighter. And I think distance and range is going to be a big issue for him. I don't think bantamweight is necessarily the wrong decision, but if he's going to fight there, he's going to have to get better at implementing wrestling and closing distance against guys with reach and size and power on him. It kind of looks like there was a real power discrepancy as well once they were on the ground in terms of where he could keep him in what positions.
Yeah, when it started going wrong, it went very, very wrong.
Very,
so let's
very
say
wrong.
No one right off Jp Baze, and people give Montel Jackson a little bit more hype than he's been given. Oh, I've got a good sentence for this next one.
One sentence on Blanchfield versus Alpar.
Yeah, shouldn't have been legal. Should not have been legal. What happened there? That was criminal.
My sentence is, I apologize, Blanchfield. I didn't know who you are. I took no interest in this fight. I know who you are now. That was pretty impressive.
That was good. And fair play to Alpar for finishing,
Yeah, I didn't think she was going to get through that. Blanchfield is scary. Flyweight is only getting more stacked. I'm excited. Kasangane against Carlston Harris.
Sorry, Emperor.
Fair play, Carlston. Yeah, no, cutting down isn't always your friend. Doesn't always make your chin better. Doesn't mean that you're not fighting scary guys.
Well, I thought that was necessarily the issue. I think welterweight is probably his division. Just Carlston Harris had a great night, and Kasangane, do you know what? Maybe the Joaquin Buckley is more than just a fluke. Maybe this guy just isn't that fucking great. We'll see. I don't want to write him off yet.
No writings off needed.
Yeah. Lopez Alantengali.
Don't grab the fence.
Yeah, I can't add to
that. Whitmire Spitfire against Hannah Goldie.
Both arms in or both arms out?
For fuck's sake, Emily. For fuck's sake. Yeah, that was the card. Going through the prelims, I realized that I didn't actually do that much better than you. I just know that I won based on the ones that you didn't pick. So, and still no Sly until we do picks for this week. So, haha.
I finished 6 and 7.
I finished... One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I got at least 7, so I've beaten you.
You counting the wrong zoo fight?
Why would I count the wrong zoo fight?
Because there was the late minute cancellation that we didn't account for, although we did have time to account for it.
Shit, yeah, who was he meant to fight?
Dakota Bush, which is the fighter I picked on that one.
I feel like I went Zhu wrong, but I won't include that. I will just count Goldie, Jackson, Pennington.
I had Jackson.
I also had Jackson. Buckley, Sarukian,
Buckley.
Lipsky, Kutalaba, and Anthony Smith.
Fair enough. That was 7, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was over 7. So, now, on to the news and Bellator. So, Romero made his debut against Phil Davis in a 3-round main event fight. He would have been sent a contract saying it's a 3-round main event fight. He would have had everybody mention in the press conferences that this is a 3-round main event fight. Before the fight happens, the referee with a translator would have sat down with both of them and explained the rules and the situation of this fight. And then when they were in the ring, the commentator would have explained that, again, this is a 3-round fight. Romero didn't do anything again. And then afterwards, he said that he thought there were going to be 2 more rounds, and that's when he was going to switch it on. That is one hell of an excuse, man. I don't know if that's real. I don't know if that's fake. Part of me thinks it might be real.
I mean, the shit this guy's willing to lie about,
Even if it is real, he should have done more. The whole point of moving to light heavyweight is that you don't have to be as conservative with your energy in a 5-round fight. That was the whole fucking point.
Also, I'm not being funny, but he won a split decision over the 3 rounds, thinking it was 5, right? So if he was planning on winning rounds 4 and 5, and knowing Romero like we do, that means he would have only aimed to have won 1 round in the first 3. How the fuck did he get to a split decision? It doesn't add up for me. Well, this is a guy that always has the right, well, not the right, but has like some bullshit excuse for why he lost, or some bullshit excuse for why he wasn't able to implement his cheating correctly. It's always just a little bit, yeah.
Well, listen, I'll give him a break on like the second Whittaker fight is, you could make a strong argument that he wins it. You could make a strong argument that he won the Paulo Costa fight. But this wasn't that Romero. This was the Izzy Romero. This was the statue of God. Not the soldier of God, the statue of God. I just think he's a 44-year-old man that can't really do it anymore. I think the Costa fight was his last hurrah of anything of what he used to be. And since then, he's 44 years old. There's no disrespect. He's had some injuries. He's had health issues. He's had a whole variety of shit. And he's still going to get some money in Bellator. He's going to get some big paychecks.
Yeah.
Good for fucking you, man, because you deserve it. But I don't think that you are anything close to what we saw in the second Whittaker fight in reality. And there's nothing
also
wrong with
lies
that.
about his age. So he's not a young man or an old man. He's maybe 50.
It's
maybe 50.
Very possible. So listen, no disrespect to the guy. He's had a phenomenal career. Arguably should have been UFC champion at least once in his life. It didn't happen. He joins a list of people that should have been champ and wouldn't. And he gets to make some extra money in his last years fighting out in Bellator. But it kind of makes you think like he's not going to be in Grand Prix. He's not going to win a Bellator title. He's not going to fight for a Bellator title. He's going to have some fun fights in his career until he calls it a day.
Yeah, probably. And I'm looking at his Wikipedia page right now. You see the big thing about how in the UFC, he was usually listed at 6 foot. And then Bellator put him at like 5'10" or 5'9". And now on the Wikipedia, I'm looking at like 5'10", age 44. I'm like, when will these lies stop? When will we realize the value of the honesty and the truth? This is just some nonsense right here.
It's hard with Cuban fighters though, man, because they basically don't get given fucking birth certificates. They just get asked, how old are you? I'm this age. Okay, 5 years later, how old are you? I already told you. I'm 10. That was 5 years ago. It's just like, no, it wasn't. What are you talking about?
Yeah, roll that shit over. I'll be 10 a while.
Phil Davis beat what's in front of him. I wasn't very impressed with Phil Davis either. I think that I kind of get it. Like, it's the same issue as he has. If you have a guy that's just standing there and not engaging and swinging wild counters, it's very hard to be sensible and exciting. And there's always an argument to say that if all you have to do to win the fight is the bare minimum, why would you do anymore?
I mean, you also, you're fighting against a dangerous guy. You can't take liberties. You can't just open up like that. In fact, if anything, when someone that dangerous and explosive is being that timid, trying to draw you in, and we've seen other fighters go wrong with this. Tyron Woodley, when he couldn't bait people into that right hand, just what else have you got? So if a guy is looking to just deploy their strongest asset, and all you have to do is be boring to defeat them, well, frankly, why the fuck would you do them any favors? I'm okay with it. And Phil Davis, what a beast. Ultimately, if you look at his body of work, his entire career, I think maybe one more win. That guy makes an argument for the trilogy with Nemkov. This is just a feather in his cap. Fair play to him.
Absolutely. I didn't really watch the Bellator cards. Do you know the Weasel on MMA on YouTube? Weasel MMA. He does like breakdowns and like what really happened in the fight and stuff like that. He pops up on my YouTube feed, and just after I've watched the UFC card, I switch on YouTube and I just see he thought it was 5 rounds, which obviously led to me immediately watching the Romero fight to see how on earth that could have happened. But you told me Sol Rogers won, which is great for
the
British
other Hangman.
The other Hangman. Is his nickname the Hangman?
Yeah. Also, our boy has resolved his visa issues that stopped him from competing in the Ultimate Fighter finale and gave way to Ryan Hall. He's now training at Sanford MMA, which
sick.
For an aggressive, heavy-handed, strong grappler, is like the perfect camp to go to. The keep it simple, stupid striking style of Henry Hooft and all the top level grapplers that you get to train with every day. Sweet Jesus. I mean, he's just fighting with a shit ton of other fighters in his mold. And now he's moving up to lightweight for the foreseeable. I just really think the sky's the limit for Sol Rogers. This is very exciting stuff.
Watch this space. Aside from that, I'm going to be honest, there were no other fights on the Bellator card that really made me want to watch it.
Oh, well, no, but like Naaman Gracie got a first round KO.
That's crazy.
Don't know much about the guy Gracie was fighting, but even if they're trying to pad his record, it's still not that easy to do as a grappler in an organization as decent as Bellator. And I don't know. I think that's pretty fucking cool. Fair play, Naaman.
Absolutely. Let's touch on the news a little bit. Obviously, the main story we got to talk about is the fact that since our last show, Carlos Condit has retired. Absolute legend, the natural born killer, responsible for some of the best fights in UFC welterweight history. Still, maybe the closest man. I know, obviously, people did dethrone. Somebody obviously Matt Serra did dethrone GSP, but once GSP became the GSP on his epic title run, I don't think he was ever closer to losing his title than he in his fight against Carlos Condit with that head kick. And obviously, a lot of people think that he should have had UFC champion to his name, not just interim. I love Robbie Lawler, but that fight, it's a real one where it's hard to see how Carlos didn't win it.
Yeah, no, I did score that one for Carlos. The thing is that ultimately you kind of say from there, though, there was just a ton of bad matchups for him. And that is very much reflected on his record immediately after the title shot. But yeah, no, I thought he beat Robbie Lawler. Close fight, great fight, amazing fight. And yeah, you beat a guy like Nick Diaz to win an interim title. That's kind of counts for something. And yeah, man, like the head kick against GSP is kind of thrown with the same highlights of like GSP, like, Dan Hardy escaping GSP's armbar. That's how like vulnerable or human GSP looked at the time. So yeah, he'd come a long way from the Matt Serra fight, and Carlos Condit on his day was a fucking beast. And let's not forget when Rory McDonald first came into the UFC and was looking like a monster. He was lucky to get away with the win in that Carlos Condit fight. Condit was beating him pillar to post. Just this guy, is one of my favorite fighters for a reason. And even if you don't appreciate his fight style, I have no idea why you wouldn't. If you're an idiot, I guess. But even if you don't appreciate him as a fighter, you have to appreciate him as a human being. You know, always very responsible about getting like neurologically checked, getting scans, always going about things the right way. Just a really smart guy, and always walked out to Rage Against the Machine. So, you know, something for everyone. Smart people, people with good music tastes, and a third finger that I held up. You know, all the people. I explained that well.
He will be greatly missed, but I think he's retiring at the right time.
Yeah, definitely.
And listen, he's still got to have a great run. He beat Matt Brown in his final kind of swan song. I know he had the Griffin fight, and that's proven to be his last fight, but his last win is Matt Brown. That's nothing to sniff at.
No, that's a pretty cool win. I love Matt Brown too.
We kind of didn't touch on this when it first got announced, just moving away from other news. Israel Adesanya's kickboxing nemesis was signed to the UFC, and Adesanya's been tweeting about it.
Alex, MMA is a different sport, and striking in MMA is a very different level. Yeah, I need to see this guy do some shit, you know? Wait, how is it pronounced? Pahea or Paheda? Because I don't know with that, like with the IDA, how it goes. Like Jean de Doba always fucks me up. But
I'm going with Alex Pereira until somebody corrects me. He's the last guy to beat Izzy, knock out Izzy, even, sorry. He's the only guy to knock out Izzy. He beat him twice in Glory. I'm excited to see what he does. I think age might be a factor. I think he's 34 or touching on that. He hasn't got that much time. I know that.
And it's a difficult sport. It is a very difficult sport to come up in. And, you know, Izzy's more than just a one-dimensional fighter. And he's a guy that went through a lot of difficult matchups and made him seem easy. It's hard to say that just because this guy may presumably be at a similar kind of striking level, that he's going to have anywhere near the same level of success. Just, he would need to get a ton of favorable matchups in a short period of time. I don't know. I'm not all a buzz about it.
But Israel Adesanya's already tweeted. He said, saying he hopes Alex Pereira gets a wonderful first UFC fight. And he says, "Come on, Alex, Daddy's home scared." I think Izzy wants that fight back. I think he'd be quietly confident and happy to see Alex rise the ranks and get a title shot. I think for a guy like Izzy, that's the one that he'd want to correct, and he'd feel like he gets to correct it on his turf.
I mean, yeah, why not? But no one else thinks that it's merited, frankly. It's Izzy, Bobby Knuckles, everybody else. And, you know, I think we both kind of assume that Bobby's going to have his best day to beat Whittaker on an average day. It's very much this man's division. I think for him, it's just, you know, which fight can I sell the easiest? How do I make the most amount of money with the least amount of press? But I don't know. I need to see this guy fight a few times. I need to see him do something in this sport.
Agreed. I don't think he's got a fight matched up yet, so we're going to have to wait a little bit on that. Aside from that, I haven't got any other major news. Giga Chikadze is saying some crap about Holloway being an easier fight than Volkanovski. He can go fuck himself. And apparently, Jake Paul is now calling out Derek Brunson.
I know. That one I'd watch. That one I'd watch. An actual fire in his actual prime with a coach like Henry Hooft, yeah, I'd fucking watch that.
You make a good point. That one. I'd still like to see the Anderson Silva take on Jake Paul. He'll never take that fight because, you know, he's got smart people that advise him.
I don't want anything where, you know, he gets to get a lot of cheap buzz, and there's a lot of reasons why the other guy, you know, was kind of facing an uphill struggle, be it age, size, whatever else. But I feel like even though he cuts down to 185, I think like Brunson is probably bigger than Jake Paul.
Yeah.
when it comes down to boxing. I think Henry Hooft could, he's not going to teach Derek Brunson to be a pro boxer, but to knock out a dumb little cunt like Jake Paul, yeah, I'd
And
watch that one. I'd watch
on
that
that
one.
note, I think that's all the news that I've got to cover. Any topics that you've seen in the news you want brought up?
Nah, not really. I mean, like O'Malley and Pimblett are going back and forth a little bit. Obviously, them being two weight divisions apart makes all the
Waste of time.
talk about it redundant. But
Waste of time.
it's really the only other thing I can think of. Just to say that, like, just walking back what I said last week about looking for reasons to wear my Eagles jersey, I realised that I'm not a fair weather fan. Also, I have no expectations on this season, so it'd be ridiculous to ever not wear it.
I thought you guys were unlucky. I thought you were unlucky against the 49ers. There was a lot of good stuff there.
Yeah, we're not really going to make any kind of serious push this year. Nick Sirianni looks like a guy coaching in his second ever game. Our defense was really good. Derek Barnett made one bad fucking play, maybe cost us the game. And we had a lot of poor offensive moments, and that's what actually cost us the game, along with some shoddy play calling. But no one really gives a fuck, because all they really need to be doing is fucking shit up and figuring stuff out. So
hey, at least you didn't lose 35-0 at home to your divisional rivals with your quarterback taken out of the game 2 minutes in.
Oh, for real, that happened to you?
Yeah, so it turns out that not investing in our offensive line is going to prove to be a catastrophic failure, because we got sacked like 6 to 7, maybe even 8 times. And every single sack was landed in approximately 1 to 2.5 seconds from the snap. So basically imagine this. The quarterback isn't getting not even like a slight delay. Just basically,
that's how long it takes to run at someone with nobody in the way.
Yeah. Tua got fucking destroyed like on the second drive. And from there, it was Jacoby Brissett. And then the receivers were dropping passes. We couldn't run the ball because the offensive line is fucking useless. We couldn't pass deep because the offensive line is fucking useless. And in a game where Josh Allen, the Bills quarterback, completed less than 50% of his passes and threw for less than 150 yards, we still got beaten 35-0. Penalties, dumb mistakes, drops in the end zone. This is my favorite one. We gave up one touchdown because right before the second half ended, right before halftime even, our punt returner drops the catch, and loses possession. It was rough to watch, man, but I was there for all of it. Well, I say I was there for all of it. I was there for 3 quarters, then I switched over to watch the Jets game because my dad's a Jets fan. And if there's one thing I always know, it's that the Jets suck. So I get to enjoy watching my dad's team lose. So that was nice.
Hey, well, if it makes you feel any better, Bournemouth at the top of the championship. So
Arsenal are on back-to-back wins against lowered the table opposition, and only by 1-0, but clean sheets.
You still have to beat them. So
exactly. And on that note, we will be back for the pick show, most likely recording on Thursday, because I think Sly's not back till Wednesday night, and we want to have him involved. Massive card. Massive fucking card. I've already watched the countdown. It was so surreal to see Nick Diaz just in a countdown. I kind of just naturally assumed he wouldn't be there. Like, he wouldn't have appeared for it. He wouldn't have sat down and done the interviews. So that was strange, but cool. And we'll talk about that and our picks for UFC 266 on the pick show. For now, bye Dave, bye Laurie, bye Trufo, bye anyone else who's watching. Like and subscribe if you can be bothered. We'll see you in a few days. Peace out.
Bye Laurie, bye Dave.